Hi, I'm Benjamin Bernstein with astroshaman.com, and I'm here to give you the Pluto Prescription Part 2. A couple of weeks ago I put up Part 1. Today is May 1st, 2019, so that was mid-April. And just to super quick summarize what I covered last time, and this is only a brief summary, the 4 releases of Pluto are to release all of the stuff you don't need, all the relationships that aren't serving you, all of the habits that are wasting your time, and all of the limited thinking that's keeping you from living your most full, wonderful life. And then the gifts Pluto gives you, the more you release those things, is wealth and power. By the way, I'm standing near a road, so if you're hearing cars coming by, sorry, that's unavoidable. I really wanted to show you these lovely rhododendrons in the background that are growing in our front yard. So anyhow, let's get more into Pluto and how can we work with him in a wonderful way. So when Pluto is strong, whether it's strong in your natal chart always, or whether you're getting a transit, and Pluto transits, anything it hits is aspected, but especially when it's a quadrature, when Pluto's making a conjunction, an opposition, or a square, that's when he really turns on the force. I mean, anything transiting by quadrature is always at its most powerful. So Pluto is represented actually by 3 images. The first is the phoenix burning to ash and resurrecting out of the flames. The second is a snake shedding its skin. And the third is a little caterpillar going into a cocoon and melting down to goo, melting down, and coming out this gorgeous butterfly. So those are the kind of death and rebirth, primal transformation themes of Pluto. So whether Pluto's strong natally or you're getting a strong Pluto transit, there's going to be shadow work. So that's a theme we need to dive into a little bit. If you don't know the phrase, shadow work is a phrase originally coined by Carl Jung, the great psychotherapist. And he said shadow work is you're working on your old childhood wounds or maybe your past life karma. It's basically the things that are causing you challenge. And I try to keep it super simple. I say shadow work wants to come up when you're having a challenging emotion or when you've got a challenging sensation in your body, or both. Now, as many of you may know, I have tools for this. For years, I've given something called the Healing Invocation. If you would like to check that out personally, it's on astroshaman.com. If you check this out before early June, then the last word on astroshaman.com on the menu bar is resources, and below that, you click that, it'll pull down. The first item says Invocations for Healing and Awakening. Go to that page. The second post has all the information I share about the healing work with that healing invocation. In a nutshell, you let your higher self do it for you. You say to your higher self, maximum healing that serves highest good, please. Then you go passive, and if you really stay passive and just rest in either passive breath awareness, or if the sensation is strong in your body, just feeling that sensation 100% with no filter, then your higher self can flush out as much as is ready to go. And you just repeat as needed for the rest of your life. So I don't want to go totally into the healing invocation, but that tool, I've been getting great feedback on that tool for over 8 years. So I know it works, and forgive me. No, it is over 8 years. That's right. It's been a while. So I wouldn't keep offering the tool if it didn't keep working really well. So there's other ways to do shadow work too. Right now, linked from that post, the shadow work or the healing invocation post, there's a link to a post that currently called, I believe it's called Simple Focus Healing. And that post goes into the shadow work other tools you can use. Eventually I hope to integrate that into the main post, but right now it is separate. And some things you could do to do shadow work include, you could do like individual hypnosis. I'm personally a big fan of group process, because when you get a lot of people or several in a room together who are doing serious hardcore shadow work, this energy comes up that makes it easier for everybody. So as many of you know, I'm a huge fan of plant spirit ceremonies, ayahuasca, San Pedro, mushroom, and I've had huge, powerful, life-changing healings in ceremonies like that. Of course, those are not legal in the United States for the most part, but you can certainly travel to Central and South American countries and do those sorts of things. And of course, there's a ton of practitioners traveling the US and doing it under the radar. So a plant spirit work would be fabulous. I've yet to find anything that does healing work better than a plant spirit teacher like ayahuasca or San Pedro. But there's also stuff you can do that's perfectly legal and doesn't even require you to take anything. A prime example is breathwork. Years ago, something called holotropic breathwork was created. And I can't believe I'm spacing the guy's name as I stand here, but if it comes, I'll pop it out. Oh, Stanislav Grof, Grof. And he actually in the 60s was working with LSD therapy, as you'll learn if you read the wonderful book called How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan, best-selling book about his experience with the psychedelic realm and the healing potential it offers. The 60s, the 50s and early 60s was a heyday for psychedelic research. It was the darling of everyone. Everyone thought it was so cool that you could have such rapid healing so fast using things like LSD. And then, of course, everyone got freaked out by the hippies, and it got made illegal, and that shut that down. But here's Stanislav Grof having done thousands of these sessions that are so powerful. So what am I going to do? I can't use LSD anymore. And he happens upon the realization that if you do powerful breathing, hyper-oxygenate, not hyperventilate, but hyper-oxygenate the body with deep, rapid breathing, then you naturally go into an altered state and you start naturally having a shamanic journey. And I myself am certified as a shamanic breathwork practitioner, facilitator, and I've seen many people, myself included, have powerful breakthroughs. I've had breakthroughs in breathwork that were nearly as potent as the ones I had in plant spirit medicine. So it's a powerful way to access that deep trauma, and it naturally brings up whatever's next. You don't even have to figure out what you're going to work on. You just start the process. The facilitator, plays the intense driving music, and you start breathing fast, and amazing things can break through. And of course, how many other modalities are there? More growing all the time. Family dynamic, I'm forgetting the exact word, I apologize, but family systems work where people play out the roles of various family members. I've seen people have powerful breakthroughs with that. There's dozens, maybe hundreds of recently cultivated modalities that are all about doing your shadow work. So the bottom line, whatever modality you choose, and there's so many wonderful ones I haven't even named here, is you want to realize, okay, if I feel challenging emotion or challenging sensation in the body, then there's something in me that needs to be healed. And I can either ignore it, sweep it under the rug, anesthetize myself so I don't feel it. But if I do that, it'll just come back and back and back. You've probably lived long enough, you already know this. It's not going away. I may temporarily send it off, but it's going to come back in some way, shape, or form, and it's going to be the same unpleasant feeling at the core again. And either you keep doing that and have it recur the rest of your lifetime, or you heal it and you're done. So I'm a big fan of the latter approach. Get it done, be done with it. So Pluto, again, if he's strongly placed natally, and if he is, again, making a strong transit, he's Mr. Shadow Work. In terms of what he hits, things that relate to certain points tend to bring up shadow work more than others. If Pluto is making hard aspect to a luminary, the sun or moon, that's definitely shadow work stuff. If Pluto is making a strong aspect to the nadir, the cusp of house number 4, or the planet or planets that rule it, that's shadow work stuff. If Pluto's hanging out with Chiron, who himself is the wounded healer archetype, Chiron is almost as powerful as Pluto in his natal and moving things with this as too. That's shadow work stuff. Saturn can bring it up with aspect to Pluto. So there's a lot of planets that tend to bring it up, especially when Pluto makes contact with them. So just know that shadow work is a part of human. I don't know a single living person who's consciously evolving who isn't doing a lot of shadow work these days. It's some of us, I actually believe that some of us are doing it for ourselves first, and then for our family lineage, and then some of us get signed up to do it for other people too. And energy comes to us to transmute or clear of people we don't even know. And if there are some light workers who don't mind that, say that's fine. It's my gig. I'm happy to do my part for those who can't do it for themselves yet. So slight tangents here and there on the Pluto theme, but all of it definitely relates. So I guess that's the piece that needed to be filled in around Pluto. Like the 4 releases and the 2 empowerments are awesome, but understanding about the transformation of the shadow work is really important. Let me close with what I consider a really central message of Pluto. Pluto says you're never done evolving. If you've got Pluto really strong in your chart, you are never going to plateau anywhere permanently. You might stabilize and plateau for a bit, and then it's on to the next transformation whenever the next catalyst arises. So just understand if Pluto is strong for you, and I can say the same for Scorpio, and I can say the same for 8th house energy, because 8th house and Scorpio and Pluto are all the same thing, archetypally. So if all that's juicy for you, then transformation is a strong theme. So I encourage you, don't get stuck, don't get scared of getting off the stale reality you're in. Be willing to dive in there, go through your process. You won't know what it's going to look like on the other side, but every time I've done it, it gets more wonderful. And remember too, the more intense the challenge, the more scary it is to dive into it. Typically, the more amazing the breakthrough that results when you actually get the work done. So, I hope this has been helpful. That's the Pluto Prescription Part 2. And if you're interested in working with me, you can go to astroshaman.com and go to services. I do astrology, I do shamanic healing, which is very platonic. I do life coaching, which can transform people's lives too, and check out any of that. Also, even if you never do business with me, the site's full of great articles and posts and videos and podcasts and all sorts of great stuff to learn about astrology and spirituality and all sorts of great stuff. So anyhow, it's been my pleasure to give you this Pluto prescription. Actually, the rhododendrons and the bright sunlight is maybe not the right vibe for that, but it was so pretty I had to include it. So thanks for listening. I wish you infinite blessings.